Hello and welcome to the Art of Prepping channel. Today's Prepper Quick Tip video is going to talk about 5 things that you might want to consider to look at when you're looking for a light when practicing light discipline. Light discipline is an effort to minimize light signature, to minimize your position, and to be as stealthy as possible. And this could be done for a variety of reasons. This can be done to increase your safety, security. It could be that you're bugging out in a location, or you're trying just to avoid detection, reduce attention from others because there's threats in the area. And so regardless of really why you're doing it, there's a lot of people that do practice light discipline in various parts of the world because there's dangers of being detected. And a lot of times you hear about this mostly, though, in the military circles, but civilians have used this throughout the years in various, conflict zones. Back in the World Wars, there's civilians that blacked out their homes just to really not be someone that stood out in the middle of the night. There's a lot of things that makes a lot of sense to use this principle. It has saved a number of people's lives. I can only imagine the countless numbers of people that have been saved by following this discipline. And so when you're looking for a light to help you practice light discipline when you're out and about, I have 5 things here. The first is that it has a low output mode. And this goes without saying, but one low output mode might be very different than another low output mode on another light. I have some lights that the low output mode is 5 lumens, and then others, the low is 50 lumens. That's a pretty big difference. And so you might want to consider lights that have that lower mode, that lower output. And so for me, I kind of look at lights somewhere between 1 and 10 lumens. 5 lumens typically is enough for most of my activities. 5 lumens allows me to walk around a room pretty safely, and to read a map or to read if I had to. And so there are certainly a lot of advantages of having that really low light setting. There are some lights that have like moonlight mode, where it's actually in some cases below or less than 1 lumen. And that can be also very useful as well. So the second thing I want to point out is that the color of the light. If you look at the military, they typically use red and blue. Special forces have been using a lot more blue light lately. The general military, just the regular army, for example, uses a lot of red, but sometimes they use other colors, but typically red. And this is because those colors in low settings help to preserve night vision, your natural night vision. And so also, like the color blue over distances, is harder to detect than, say, white light or other colors. And so there's a reason why these colors are used. The next thing I want to point out is that you would really want to prefer to find a light that has a more focused beam than a flood beam. And this should go without saying, but obviously you have more control over that light when it's concentrated, and it's more efficient as well than if you have a floodlight, which is all over the place and creating a larger light signature. That also increases the likelihood of things reflecting off of that light and giving your position away. Now, number 4 here is a good thing to consider, because if your light isn't, adaptable, if it isn't a platform that can attach to your gear, for example, it could be a chest rig or your backpack or a pocket or belt or whatnot, then it's not going to be as usable. And so I like to look at lights that are hands-free, multi-use lights. And so headlamps could be an option here. There are lights that can clip on your gear, but they have a swivel head so that you can move them around. Some of them have like up to 180 degree swivel. And on some of these lights, they also have the filters built in. So you have your white light or you have your red light or whatever. There's different lights that have different colors. Now, number 5 here is that on multi-mode lights, you definitely want the light to start out on low first. And there are some lights that are programmable, so that's even better. But it's really good to have the light to start out on low first, because that would be the worst thing, is to turn on your light and it's on high first, and then it steps down to medium or low. Then you might have already given your position away just turning your light on. And so that's one option. You can also find multi-mode lights that have a memory feature so that you can set it on a certain mode. And so when you go to turn it on, it kind of comes back to that same light output every time. But there's still that possibility of accidentally bumping your light and turning up the light a lot higher than you intended. So there are some lights that require you to hold the button down for a second or two before it goes to the next light setting. And that's really kind of preferable when you're trying to be really careful not to over illuminate an area. Also, there are some lights that are just single output lights that only come on a low setting. They're just low light, producing lights, if you will. And those are really the most simple. They're just on or off or momentary. But any which way, they're just going to come on at a very low setting of maybe 5 lumens or 10 lumens or something like that, a manageable output level. And so those are things to consider when you're trying to practice light discipline. I hope this helps. I hope you guys are doing good. You guys take care.